Hey, I'm John Greaves III. I'm the founder of Garage Gym Life, and I got a special treat for you guys today, especially if you love barbells or if you got a barbell that needs rescuing. That's right there. Should have given you a hint about what we're going to be talking about. We're going to be talking to my guy, Kim Friesen from Barbell Rescue, and I'm so excited to hear all about his product, which is catching fire throughout the home gym community. But first, let's check out the shirt of the day. The shirt of the day is the best gym in town shirt. Regardless of where in your house your home gym is, it's the best gym in town because you've spent the time to custom tailor it to you. So let's celebrate that with this awesome shirt. It's comfortable to wear out and it's awesome to work out in, even when you start to sweat on those dog days of summer in your garage. So go ahead, hit that link that's down here underneath this video and grab this fresh home gym merch or any other shirt that you like to get from our store and support your favorite YouTube channel while you're at it. Okay, and that was the shirt of the day. As always, you can grab the shirt of the day by going to the link that is below this video, and it will not only support our channel, but it'll have you looking fresh, so all the kids will think that you are cool. Kim, how you doing, my man?
I'm doing great, John. How are you?
I'm great. I'm here just admiring that mustache. I mean, that's phenomenal.
A lot of positive self-reinforcement goes a long way to a great mustache.
Oh wow. I mean, I'm telling you that right there is amazing. How like just tell me how many hours a day does it take to get that thing, under first of all, to get it under control every morning?
It requires more effort than I thought it was going to be. I thought you just wake up and you
And
don't
you're
have to
just
comb it, but
majestic.
you gotta groom it, you gotta comb it out, you gotta oil it and everything else. It's a lot more maintenance.
Do
And
you
now you gotta
sleep
like
on do you
trim it
sleep
every
on your
day.
face? Like do you sleep on your stomach? Now this is important because if you sleep
No,
on your
like
back
I'm always
and
on my side. I'm always on my side, so it
okay,
messes
because I
it
was
up.
saying like if you're on your back, yeah, whatever.
There's
But if you're one of these people who like sleeps on their stomach, then half your mustache, because then you're gonna turn
yeah.
your head from side to side, so you're screwing it up all night, and then you wake up, you got to repair the damage. So I'm
There is
just
such
like,
thing as a bed head. Then there's also a mustache head when you
yeah,
wake up.
I'm saying,
It'll be all over the place.
now you might look at me and say, how does he know all of that? And he doesn't have a mustache, Kim. I'm a student of human nature. Okay, I study the human condition. So you, it's funny that we're telling the jokes about the mustache and how much time and attention it takes, right? Because it's just like barbells. You think, okay, you get a bar, you don't have to do anything with it. It's a bar, it's a piece of metal, right? All right. But it actually does require some maintenance in order to perform at its best. Let's take a second and I want you to just show us the brush and how it works and everything else like that.
Hey y'all, Kim, owner and inventor of Barbell Rescue. Just gonna do a quick how to clean your barbell. Brush, open it up, slap it on, you twist, back and forth, flip to the other side, and that's it. Quick, easy, fast, efficient, effective, all those fancy keywords we know and love from Barbell Rescue. Thanks.
All right, so Kim, that was a great demonstration, but obviously you've used this thing, you've lived with it for a long time. Have you ever had anybody order this brush online and then they not be able to figure out how to use it, and so then you get the phone call or the email like, "Hey man, where's the tutorial?"
The weirdest thing, I guess, for me, like you were saying, as far as I've been using it for a long time, and I just anticipate the grip that it has on the bar the first time that you try to use
That's
it.
what I was gonna say. That's why I asked you what I said about has anybody called like reached out and said, "Hey, I don't know how to use this,"
Yeah.
because when I read Tim Stewart, I mentioned him before, Jim Crafter,
Oh
Tim
yeah.
Stewart's
Yeah.
website, he mentioned that he was squeezing it too hard, and so it
Yep.
wasn't working as well. And then it occurred to him, "Hey, I don't need to squeeze as hard, right?"
Every like review that I've seen, video review that I've seen somebody post on Instagram, that first time that they like, I watch them open the package and they're like, "Oh, the packaging great," which I love the packaging as well.
Yeah.
And I was initially surprised on how many people would actually commented on that. And anyway, after they make a comment about the packaging, and then they rip the little cellophane wrap off of it, and then they go to clean the very first time, and you'll see just and they'll just stop. And it's because they're not ready for that, because there's so much contact
Yeah.
bristle contact, they're just not ready for it. It just stops them in their tracks. And so you almost always see somebody like their hand just slide across the top of the brush.
For the sake of anybody who is about to open up your Barbell Rescue brush and you're going to use it for the first time, you don't have to squeeze that hard.
You do not. You do not
Okay.
at all.
Is that,
and those are some
that basically sum up the customer service issue? You don't have to squeeze that hard. Okay.
Yeah. You can squeeze, but you ain't going anywhere.
Yeah, nice. My experience with brushing barbells has been primarily competing in powerlifting meets, because when you get to the deadlift portion, especially if you compete in the IPF. So if you compete in a lot of federations, they use a different bar for the squat, bench, and for the deadlift. So they use a different deadlift bar. So it's not as important, but you still will see people brushing the bar off, because you've got so many lifters going through, putting baby powder on their shins, chalk in their hands. And so the combination of the chalk and the baby powder all get into the knurling on the bar. But in the IPF, it's the same bar. So now you've got the chalk from when lifters chalk their back getting into the bar. Lifters have chalk on their hands when they're bench pressing. And then they get to the deadlift, it's the same bar. And again, you've got all that accumulated chalk, and then you do the chalk and baby powder combination there. And, I remember I was at a nationals where there are 1,400 lifters. So imagine 1,400 people in one day, the amount of chalk that goes on that bar, right? You know what I'm saying? So like Kim's horrified. He's like I can tell your mustache started to twitch. He's like, oh no, that can't happen.
Yeah. So the powerlifting side of the house is like really new to me as of like really the beginning of the year. And I didn't understand the amount of chalk and how often, and the cleaning in between at the competitions and stuff. And then now, like, I see it just nonstop. Even this last weekend, I was at an event in Tampa, and they were just using the flat, like the big horse brush.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh gosh, guys, I got something better for you.
No way. You need a siren.
Yeah.
You know what? You need a helicopter. That's what you need. You need a helicopter so that you can land and come running out, like bent over a little bit with a little briefcase, and it's got the Barbell Rescue brush in it. Tell your wife that needs to go in the budget.
I'm gonna write that down.
Tell her, hey, look, you'll understand eventually, but I need this. Talk to me about how you decided on, what seems like a no-brainer, but a round brush for a round object.
So I was still active duty Air Force, finally got stationed up here in Alaska. I had this idea that once I retired, that I was going to open my own CrossFit gym. And then as I got closer to retirement, like things weren't kind of lining up with the gym ownership part. And then I thought, well, if I can't join them, maybe there's some sort of way that I can just help them. Looking back, it was, this crazy question about what's a crappy job for gym owners. And then one day, like barbell maintenance came up, and I was like, well, I've never cleaned a barbell. I have no clue what that even entails. And I hit the Google machine, and day in and day out, I was looking up everything I could possibly come up with as far as keywords on Google. Cylindrical brush, round brush, wraparound brush, and couldn't find anything. Did some research. I found like a flexible brush that was for cleaning ropes, on the marine boat side of the house, but it was way too small and it was shaped funny. And I thought, well, I'll buy a couple of those and we'll see how well that does. And I was like, I can do this better. Cut up a water bottle. Actually, I cut up PVC pipe first in the garage and put some duct tape on it, slapped this cut up, brushed in it, and then made my original prototype. I asked my gym owner friends and said, hey, what do you guys think? Have you ever seen anything like it? And they're like, never seen anything, and you might be onto something. And I said, okay. Talked to my wife. She thought I was crazy. She still thinks I'm crazy some days. And then, and away I went. I started researching on, okay, now how do you take a prototype into a manufacturing process?
So you said, finally, I got stationed in Alaska. I don't think any human has ever said that. Oh, finally. Yes. My dreams have...
Yeah.
I mean, I've heard finally, and I got stationed. And I've heard in Alaska, but I've never heard that combined.
Never heard them combined.
In quite that. Yeah, never. And I think that's going to be it. You're going to be the only person to say that.
You know what? I grew up I was born and raised. My wife and I were born and raised in Kansas.
It gets cold there as well. I've been there.
Our first 4 duty stations: Colorado, New Mexico, Oklahoma, Texas. We could not get outside of the middle of the United States.
I got you.
And so by that time we were like, we got to go somewhere else. Like if we're going to be in for 20 years or so, like we got to go somewhere.
You wanna, yeah.
And anyway, so me and a buddy, best friends that were in San Antonio, we said, hey, where do we want to go together?
That's where you picked.
That was it. Well, so
okay, hold on. So like in the military,
yeah,
or at least in the Marine Corps, once you get to a certain rank, you get to pick you get like to choose duty stations, and they'll say, okay, well, give us your top 3, and you're gonna get one of them. So is that how it worked for you guys?
Yeah, pretty much. So every, when you come up on the list to move every so many years, then you make out your list. It's kind of like your CONUS, your lower 48 US, where you want to go, and then your overseas assignments that you want to go, and you kind of make out your top 3 to 5, 10, whatever. And so we put our couple that were stateside, and then we put our overseas assignments, which for Alaska is considered overseas. And it is so far from everything, but some of that's depended on our job as an operating surgical nurse. There's not so many places for us.
No, that makes sense.
Yeah, so that's why we put Alaska, so we could just get out of the middle of the United States, experience something completely different. And then for us, we actually fell in love with it pretty quick and decided to stay here after I retired.
You may think that has nothing to do with this conversation, but you'd be wrong, because I am connecting the Alaska thing with, for those of you who failed geography, Alaska is separated from the rest of America by Canada. So Alaska is proof that we don't trust the Canadians to watch the north, the border with Russia from the North American continent. So we'll just do it, okay? But that means that shipping to and from Alaska is monstrous.
It is.
And as I understand it, you ship from Texas, am I correct?
Currently, yes, I do.
The way you told your story kind of makes a little bit more sense as far as you having a shipping fulfillment center in Texas as opposed to being in Alaska. I mean, I'm sure that you didn't say, hey, let me find a fulfillment center in Texas, but I know you said, I don't want a fulfillment center in Alaska.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So Alaska, we'll give it some context, and people are always surprised about this. From where I'm at, just north of Anchorage to Seattle is a 3.5-hour plane ride. So like when I started this, as much as I would love to like everything be inside Alaska and be the locally grown kind of thing, shipping is always the issue. Even just trying to get stuff up here. I mean, we'll pay at least half of whatever we're trying to ship up here. And then there's a lot of people that don't ship to Alaska. So I suppose every place, wherever you're at in the world, has there's some sort of challenges. Yeah. And then shipping is obviously the one here in Alaska. So I knew that I couldn't do that. And the original plan was just to have my little sister who lives in Kansas still. I was going to think, hey, can you fulfill these orders? And we'll see how it goes. And then
you got popular.
I got popular thanks to TikTok. Because of this one video, there was a rep from a distribution center, a 3PL. They had multiple warehouses across the U.S., but one was in Dallas, or just outside the Dallas area.
Okay.
And he reached out and he said, hey, what are you doing about distribution? I didn't even have the final product at that point. That was September of 21. I didn't get my first product. Like, it didn't land at the warehouse until May of 22. I did some pre-orders prior to that for about 4 or 5 months prior to that. But May of 22 is really when I started selling things.
When I say you got popular, I mean, you go out of stock because people are buying this stuff faster than you guys can make it. I know that makes you happy, but does it also intimidate you?
Yeah, a little bit. Smack dab in the middle of this very situation. So I did an initial order, and I bootstrapped this whole process from day one. And that's why it's taken so long, because I've just slowly chipped away at it.
Of course.
You're just trying to project what's going to happen. And then with the inventory side of the house and the orders, like starting November of last year, and especially through February, like we had this run and it exponential compared to the previous 6 months from the beginning of the launch. Anyway, so then it was like trying to figure out, man, how do I plan for the next production run? You try your best to make it as seamless as possible, but here I am sitting, and my next batch won't be at the warehouse until probably mid-September. So I got this like 3, possibly 4 week gap where all I can do is just take back orders, pre-orders, because we did make some changes to the color scheme of the brush, the functionality of the brush, and everything else is all the same. We just kind of
you just came with new colorways.
Yeah, just with those replacement inserts.
Okay.
We did the blue color to start, and then people have constantly asked about different color schemes, and so then we brought out red, all black, olive drab green, and then a bright pink.
All right, so you're finding that your orders are ramping up more and more, and you've got like your fulfillment through Texas. I know that's probably helping a whole lot as far as like getting stuff out and keeping you ahead of the demand. But, you know, have you found through the process itself that there's anything you want to refine to make that even more efficient?
Yeah, so the to make it more efficient, you know, and it's all about as I've been growing the business and trying to learn more about, you know, how to save money, how to make it a better user experience, et cetera, et cetera. I've actually, with this second production run, it will be moving the 3PL or changing to a different 3PL that's actually going to be based out of Cleveland, Ohio. And this is somebody I met through the Ground Gym Space, thanks to Mark from Plate Snacks.
Okay.
And he recommended this 3PL, and I started talking to them. And this is one of those things that I didn't know moving farther east was going to help me out. But in reality, once I get past Texas, California, and Florida as my top 3 like sellers, the next 5 or 6 states that buy the most brushes are all on that East Coast, Northeast area. And
but you know, that makes sense though. That makes sense because those regions tend to be wetter, more humidity. A lot of the places are closer to the ocean, so you're gonna have more salt. So that's also bad for a barbell.
Florida is my hotbed for like, you know, when orders started coming out, it was like Florida. And anyway, so that's going to be a big change that we have coming up that I'm pretty excited about. And it's just all that, you know, from the business aspect, just fine tuning things and trying to make everything a little bit smaller, a little bit more refined and efficient. Yeah.
I mentioned powerlifting meets, and typically they use a brass brush. What was the thought process behind going with nylon rather than brass?
I already knew I was going to be in a niche market, and I still needed to find a way to hit the most amount of people, or have the one, or, you know, at least come out with one that was the most versatile brush wise. And as I started researching, you know, barbell manufacturers' recommendations and everything, there's not one manufacturer that I can think of that actually they recommended a steel or a brass. And it's like firm nylon plastic. And so that was the direction. I figured I could cover the gamut with that. And then the other side of the house is coming from the CrossFit world. You know, there's a lot of Cerakote and there's a lot of finishes, you know, specialty finishes on it. And then so I was trying to find a way to cover the majority of those barbells, and then helping those owners, because that's usually what they have in stock.
Right.
So that's kind of the reason why I chose nylon over anything else.
You've been also able to hold off some of the they're not even really knockoffs, because there's nothing really like your product on the market, but China is watching. So
sure.
How hard has it been for you to hold that off?
When I started down the route and I decided, okay, I'm going to try to figure out how to manufacture this, you know, it was like, okay, is this a viable product? I asked all my friends, now what? Can I get it manufactured? Nobody in the States no manufacturer is responding to me. So I guess I got to figure something else out. They said I was too early. What does that mean? And then I find this podcast on product invention. And then I find this company in Seattle that does product design, and then Pillar Product Design. And they took me through the whole concept and prototyping phases, and to get us to a working, you know, a manufacturable product. And then But anyway, so that question about, you know, the knockoffs was, you know, if I take it to China, cost effective wise, it's, you know, for bootstrapping, that's the way I got to go.
Right.
I was very hesitant on that, but nobody in the stateside would talk to
Yeah,
me.
of course. Yeah.
And because I was unknown, right? And
Yeah.
and then kind of some of the intel I got back would be like, you know, if they're going to want you to order 10,000 brushes with a guaranteed reorder of 10,000 more brushes within 2 years, and it's going to cost you 3 times, 4 times as much. And I didn't even know if I was going to sell 20 of these outside of my
Yeah.
family. And anyway, so the
I'm just
product,
picturing your mom with like 20 brushes.
yeah, she's got them on the mantle.
She's using the like clean stuff for the kitchen. And he's like, oh
yeah, she's like
that's
cleaning
hilarious.
spoons and yeah. And anyway, so I was like, all right, but the product design team that I was working with, his contacts for plastic injection molding, is in China, and he's like, I've worked with Carl for 20 years, and I send him repeat business all the time. Every year I go. Prior to COVID, they went there a couple times a year to check on their projects that they had going on. And at that, you know, he had said there's not one that I can think of that has had an issue, not one person that's had an issue with copycats or intellectual property infringement or anything like that. And so I kind of, a lot of this, I just kind of have to, there's a lot of just going with your gut. And I'm like, okay, I trust, like, Bob in Seattle is the expert, and he's been doing this a lot longer than I have. And I just kind of, I'm going to have to rely on him on this one. And the communication's been good. The product is quality. It's durable. It looks sharp. Like, there's really no complaints about it. And so, yeah, there's a little bit of nervousness and anxiety when you know, you just hear all the horror stories about it. But this working relationship right now that we got has been fantastic.
Somebody watching this, and you know, they're not like the hardcore lifter. They're in a home gym, so their hands are the only ones touching this bar. Tell them why they need your brush.
Sure. I'll start it with the garage gym community has been the quickest to jump on and been the most receptive and supportive of this brush. And that's not anything I honestly expected. Like, I've been blown away by the support from the garage gym side of the house. Like, I can't, you know, I started with one direction and I thought it was going to go that way for all gym, like for, you know, CrossFit gym owners and other gym owners. But the garage gym side of the house, they came in full strength, and I've tried to figure out why that is. And I really think it just comes down to, even though it's just you know, it's just me and my garage gym as far as lifting goes. But like, people, as I've seen more gyms come across, you know, Instagram, and seen everybody's garage gyms, like, people have used and spent a lot of their, you know, their hard-earned money to purchase these specialty bars and in every barbell and all the equipment. And it really comes down to, like, you're looking for the best product for your garage, and then, like, honestly, my brush is the best one out there. And I've just tried to make it as simple and user friendly as possible for you to maintain that bar, so that it truly does last a lifetime. And then for that garage gym owner, you know, I have a brush, like, my brush that I've used in the majority of my videos is pushing 2 years old, and it is still going strong. So, like a lot of things, you spend a lot of money up front, but it's going to last you a long time, and it's going to pay dividends.
One other question is specialty bars, but your product is basically made for a straight bar, roughly a 29 millimeter shaft. Do you have any plans on coming out with something that can fit some of the other stuff? Because now people are knurling everything under the sun. There's
Yeah,
knurling
they
on
are.
everything, and anything that gets knurling, you could use the Barbell
Yeah.
Rescue brush on.
Yeah.
So I think your product can be used on dumbbell handles, depending on
Mm-hmm.
the length of the handle. But do you have any plans
Yeah.
for, like, say, easy curl bar? Because I know it doesn't fit easily on an easy curl bar. I mean, it fits
Yeah.
on it, but it doesn't work as well because the bends or whatever. Do you have any
Yep.
plans for
Yep.
any specialty bar products?
Right now, it really comes down to finances because all of that would require new molds.
Mhm.
And if you've ever researched a mold building or tooling, that's pretty pricey. And
Yeah.
so that's where it's kind of like I still try to balance this, you know, the largest amount within the niche
Right.
portion of it. And yeah, on the dumbbells, it can work. Like I said, the intent of the brush was faster, more efficient way to clean the knurlings. And then everything else is just kind of like, oh man, people are asking me about the sleeves, people are asking me about dumbbell handles, and to be honest, some of that, well, especially with the larger diameter barbells, I didn't know too much about when I started. I was like, is that a thing?
Yeah. You're like,
And
they do? They put knurling
that
on
is,
that?
well, yeah.
I'm looking at you, Gym
Yeah,
Equipped.
yeah,
You're putting knurling on everything.
that's who I was just thinking about with his what was it, his grill. Yeah, I was like,
Yes.
damn it. But anyway, but yeah, so that's probably the biggest thing that would hold that back right now. I think it could be easily done. I just got to adjust some of the they would just have to adjust the some of the engineering and the specs on the CAD drawings, and then you just have to make new molds, and for them to be like
But it's
that.
all going to
But
cost.
yeah, it's really
That's
the
the main.
finances
Okay.
that come down to it.
So essentially, if
And
there's enough demand and enough sales of what you got now, then it's going to make sense
correct,
too.
and then I could probably go down that route. But I
Yeah.
mean, being that I've only really truly been selling them for 15 months, maybe 16 months, that's not just it's just not in the cards right now.
I know you said that you've got a lot of back orders, but you said you're coming back in stock now. So I want people to be able to order your product and get on that list so that they can grab it. Also, if there are
Yeah,
any retailers that may already happen to have it, that may have some in stock,
sure.
I'm sure you have that on your website. So go ahead and tell people how they can get connected to Barbell Rescue.
So Barbell Rescue 1, Instagram, and then Facebook, TikTok, or just Barbell Rescue. I do have a YouTube channel, just haven't done a whole lot with it. That's the same thing, just Barbell Rescue. And then the website for ordering the brushes is just barbellrescue.com. And for the back orders right now, we're doing free shipping as a way to, sorry about the inconvenience kind of thing. And so we're going to offer free shipping to the US, and then all the color schemes are available. We anticipate mid-September, September 15th is what we're shooting at right now. And then of course that'll be adjusted as we get closer to the tracking and get more of that information. Let's see, as far as dealers that would have them in stock currently, stateside, Surplus Strength carries them, Rogue Fitness carries them, Plate Snacks, and I think Bear Steel Equipment has a few still. On the website at the very bottom of the page, there's a list of dealers, so that'll get you all of the stateside. Bud Inc. Had some at one point, and I feel like there's a sixth one that I'm missing. And then overseas wise, we have a couple Canadian dealers that are listed there, one in Sweden, and I actually just am sending a few to a gentleman in the UK to get a wholesaler there as well. But anyway, so statewide, it's all at the bottom of the website, and it's just under dealers.